U.S.A. election news. Kamala Harris winning benefits the GOP. The 1984 Democratic nominee, Walter Mondale, pledged to eliminate the deficit with a memorable phrase about the tough medicine either he or Ronald Reagan would have to give the country. Mondale remarked, "Let's tell the truth, Mr. Reagan will raise taxes, and so will I." He won't say, "I just did." With Labor Day marking the end of another presidential campaign, it's time to tell the truth again. Former President Donald Trump losing decisively in November is best for the Republican Party. GOP leaders won't say that publicly. Just done. Trump will never admit defeat, however severe. The more convincingly Vice President Kamala Harris wins the popular vote and Electoral College, the less political oxygen he'll have to repeat his 2020 shenanigans, and the sooner Republicans can form a post-Trump party. Harris is more flexible than doctrinaire progressives, but a GOP-held Senate would limit her liberal views. The safest electoral bet in this unpredictable election is that, but not guaranteed. A conservative Supreme Court majority of 6-3 is almost inevitable in January, which will check Democratic White House law and rulemaking. Harris is an emergency nominee with few policy suggestions, little Washington experience, and a history of staff turnover. If Republicans flip the Senate, she would be the first Democrat president since 1884 without majorities in both chambers. That would lead to gridlock and possibly some deal-making to fund the government and avoid tax hikes, but not a Scandinavian social safety state. 2026 would be the sixth year of one party in power, a hopeful midterm for the opposition. Those conditions plus a reduced, twice-defeated Trump would help Republicans recruit Senate candidates. Consider governors only. Senate Republicans would target Glenn Youngkin, Brian Kemp, and Chris Sununu. One GOP senator asked me, which would be harder to re-elect in 2026, Senator John Ossoff, Democrat Georgia, under Harris, or Senator Thom Tillis, Republican North Carolina, under Trump? Under Harris, Republicans could easily overturn a Democratic House majority than under Trump. Running against the six-year itch would likely help the GOP win the 36 governorship races that year. Most Republicans who aren't MAGA converts find this scenario unconvincing. How to speed Trump's exit to the 19th hole was the most heated private conversation I heard last week among Republicans. Despite admitting it was wishful thinking, one high-ranking Republican suggested a Harris victory and Biden pardons of Hunter and Trump. This would relieve Harris of both cases and remove Trump's persecution mentality so Republicans can focus on winning elections. Republicans' larger question: should they tolerate a Harris presidency to keep Trump out of power, presumably forever? Perhaps he should win so he can serve one more term and retire in 2028. The second theory is that if he loses this year, he would again claim he was deceived and could run again, prolonging the party's grip. This is when we realize none of these situations will be tidy or viable. Republican leaders have shown for a decade that they will serve their base over their own judgment on Trump. If GOP voters don't want reform, they'll do as well as John Boehner, who said, "A leader without supporters is simply a guy taking a walk." This must be the first sentence mentioning a Protestant founder and a well-tanned former speaker.